we came into the 2025 Denver Broncos season with an understanding that it was going to be the defensive side of the ball that was going to be the true backbone of this football team. It certainly was a year ago. We came in with really high expectations about what the Broncos could achieve in 2025, and week number 2 could not have been more different than week number 1 and in such a costly manner. And I wanted to talk about the Broncos defense in dedicated fashion here with you today. We're going to be breaking down this game over the next day or two before starting to look ahead to week number 3. But there's too much to unpack here to just move on. We'll talk about some of the positives that I saw on the offensive side of the football tomorrow, but the Broncos lost and the Broncos blew a game, okay? And I'm still even just trying to comprehend how they fumbled that football game away in the fourth quarter. So many self-inflicted mistakes that they will look back at, that I just looked at again this morning, rewatching the game, and just shaking your head saying, I can't believe they allowed that to happen, or in their perspective, I can't believe we allowed that to happen in Indianapolis. But 473 yards of offense for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, you take your hat off to Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones, but at the same time, that is so far removed from the expectation that we have for this Broncos defense. Like, Sean Payton's talking Super Bowl, right? That didn't look like a Super Bowl defense to me. And it was just a massively missed opportunity. Now you're 1-1 instead of 2-0. Chance to be number 1 in the division after Kansas City loses in their Super Bowl rematch to Philadelphia. Man, a lot of regret. And when you look at how it actually went down on Sunday afternoon in Indianapolis, and you start going through some of these defensive playmakers that we just almost like not take for granted, but just assume that not only will they be out there making plays, but you're not going to see them play badly and collectively bad. And if you have an accolade like Defensive Player of the Year next to your name, let's just start with Pat Surtain. Did not play well. It was one of the worst games that we've seen Pat Surtain have. And it was hard to watch because there's not like one number 1 receiver that he is matching up with. This is not him trying to take out like DK Metcalf or a Jamar Chase or someone like that. There was 3 different wide receivers who caught passes on Pat Surtain yesterday, including a tight end, in addition to 3 different wide receivers. So you're not used to seeing that. And it looked like they were trying to drag PS2 all the way across the football field on these underneath routes. It's a tall task, all right, to be running that far and that long. But you're also just still not used to Pat Surtain giving up those kind of plays. And that was, I mean, we're talking about him targeted 9 times, the most in his entire career. And he gave up 7 catches for over 60 yards. Now, we've seen other cornerbacks have worse days, make no mistake, but the standard for him it's almost like Jokic. It's just so high that when he falls that short of expectation, it's almost like you're like rubbing your eyes, like, am I saying that right? And we were. 7 catches on 9 targets, and that's not counting a defensive pass interference call as well for Pat Surtain. All right? The play that I think was the most regretful, it wasn't the biggest statistically, but it was giving up the pass to Alec Pierce. Under 2 minutes left in the football game, the Broncos can still get out of this game unscathed and get to 2-0, and it was on a 3rd down, and Pierce is able to get open and on PS2. But of course, it wasn't just PS2. Where was Nick Bonito? Right? Didn't hear his name mentioned a lot on the broadcast. He got a couple pressures on Daniel Jones, but nothing of true significance. All right? You look at Jonathan Cooper, same deal, right? I just you didn't feel him. Zach Allen, in almost anonymous football game from Zach Allen. All right. And these are all the highest paid guys on the football team. DJ Jones. Didn't really hear his name, didn't really see him. So between Pat Surtain, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, DJ Jones, and Zach Allen, that's the core of your defense right there. And they all had bad days all at the same time. That's how you get to almost 500 yards of offense for an Indianapolis team. And with Jonathan Taylor, all right, he had an absolute field day, one of the best games of his career, over 200 yards from scrimmage, 165 yards on the ground. The Broncos actually had the longest streak in the National Football League, 21 consecutive games of not allowing the opponent to rush for more than 150 yards. Jonathan Taylor did that and then some by himself. So that streak is snapped from Vance Joseph's side of the football. And then part of the thing that bothered me the most is that, like, Jonathan Taylor is one of the premier players in the NFL at his position, and too often he was just running wide open. The wheel route in the first half, just running wide open. The touchdown on the right side, just running wide open, completely unaccounted for. And it's like, how could you, like, pre-snap, like, not know where Jonathan Taylor is? And he's just running all over you. The 69-yard run in the fourth quarter. Tillman's in the backfield, doesn't make a tackle. Singleton's in position to make a tackle, doesn't do it. Pat Surtain also in position to make a tackle, can't execute. Can't have 3 missed tackles on one play. That's how you get to a 69-yard run. So hard to watch, definitely hard to watch. The busted coverage on the Tyler Warren play in the first half, right? Again, this is one of the premier players at his position. Sean Payton talked about, hey, they're going to line this guy up all over the field. It was the first handful of plays. He releases out of the backfield into the secondary, and it's a huge play, just unaccounted for. All right, and it was mostly Singleton to blame on that play. Alex Singleton had a really, really rough afternoon, but he wasn't alone. He was not alone. Broncos now 1-9 against teams with a winning record going back to last season, throwing out that Week 18 38-0 win over Kansas City. Not really representative of NFL football, closer to scout team as they rested everyone. But 1-9 against teams with a winning record going back to last season. And I do not know if the Broncos have a larger issue defensively this season. We are still collecting these data points and information, right? But I will say this. Take out the Kansas City game, a Week 18 last year, and look at the last 7 games for this Denver Broncos defense, all right? It's Indianapolis, right, on Sunday, 29 points given up, 473 yards, okay? Week number 1, excellent against Tennessee, 12 points, 133 total yards, phenomenal. Go back to the Buffalo game in the playoffs, giving up 31 points and 477 yards. The game before that in the regular season, again, we're throwing out the Kansas City game last year. It was the Cincinnati Bengals. They gave up 30 points and 499 yards defensively. The game before that, the Chargers, they gave up 34 points, 380 yards. Game before that, it was once again the Colts. It was 13 points, but 310 yards. The game before that, it was Monday Night Football against the Cleveland Browns. They gave up 32 points and 552 yards. So across the last 7 games that the Broncos have played, throwing out that Week 18 game against Kansas City, they're averaging giving up 26 points a game and 403 yards of offense per game. Where would that have ranked league-wide last year? It would have ranked 29th in points and 31st in yards. The Broncos defense needs to play better. All right, there's too much talent on that side of the ball for it to look like the way it did in Indianapolis, because it's only going to get harder. The challenges are only going to get harder. All right, they need to look themselves in the mirror, understand where they're at, and meet that challenge here moving forward. Guys, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. I humbly ask you, subscribe to this channel, like this video. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments and interact with you there. We are growing here every single day. Thank you for being a part of this, and you'll hear more from me tomorrow.